Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 15 illustration rares under $15. Recently I actually did a video on the top 10 illustration rares under $10. So this list is not going to contain any of the cards from that video. These are going to be completely new, fresh. And in that video, I actually asked if people were interested in seeing this list. So, there was a positive response. So I thought, why not? Let's do it. There are a lot of cards that I absolutely adore in this list. And they are pretty much above like the $5 range. They go above this list of cards over here. But there are some really stunning ones that I think are getting pretty reasonably priced, as they're coming down. There's some cards here you can consider for the long term. I always like to think of my cards in a longer time horizon whenever I'm grabbing them, because I always think of investing in Pokemon as a long-term pursuit. So hopefully some of these cards will fit your collection and fit your investment goals. For number 15, we have Fletchinder. Genuinely one of my favorite illustration rares of all of Scarlet and Violet. I'd have to say it was my goal card. I actually made a Paldea Evolved weighing video. When the set first came out, I opened up an entire booster box, checked if the set was weighable. I pulled a Magikarp in that, but my actual chase card was this Fletchinder. This art rare. I was absolutely stunned by this card, and I had pulled a Magikarp in Japanese, so I was super excited to get this card on my hands. And so really, really stunning one. It almost looks like a special illustration rare, honestly, for me, and is super underrated, going for $8.97. It was at a high of $11, so coming down. Now it's only a 30% increase from its original price 3 months ago. Next up is Scizor, and this is criminally undervalued, I'd say, for a Pokemon that's been very, very popular for a long time. Scizor is Scyther's evolution, so again, a very old Gen 1 Pokemon finally got an evolution in Gen 2, and people certainly seem to love it. I do like the fact that this card has come down quite a bit from 17 now down to 9, so it's more accessible. And it's pretty sweet to see this sort of fight scene, right? It's not like the usual art style. I talked about this in the past, sort of how they mix in some coloring to give it sort of this rugged look. We have this sort of green tint all along the wings of Scizor. We have this sort of blend of darker browns into the claws. So it all gives this sort of rustic vibe, and the sky sort of apocalyptic look. This almost looks like a showdown between two Scizor sort of attacking each other. There are these scenes always in the show whenever two Pokemon attack each other and they're just standing there for a few seconds to see which one falls down. So clearly this is a nod to those moments. Super reasonably priced. Another one that never actually really took off is Pheasantipity. This one hasn't had that huge, peak and trope. Right now we're seeing it go from $4 up to $9. I'd say quite reasonable, way better than the special illustration or Pheasantipity that you can get in Shrouded Fable. And this one's pretty much setting driven, and honestly in the 3 evil ones that they sort of advertise in the Pokemon DLC for Scarlet and Violet, where these 3 Pokemon, Monkidori, Pheasantipity, and Okidoki, are alongside Ogerpon, are sort of the main Pokemon that are explored in it. I'd say this is definitely my favorite of the 4. Pretty sweet design, Ninja Bird. I'd definitely choose this over those ones. Next up we have Aegislash, and I think that this is probably the best Aegislash artwork there is. Definitely my favorite because this Pokemon was introduced during X and Y, the Kalos region, and I genuinely can't remember seeing a better artwork for this Pokemon. Super sweet. But it is pretty cool. It almost acts like a crest and is sort of sitting itself into this wall right here. Pretty cool art style. And then this card again, not really having had that peak. It's just been consistently growing, not really fluctuating due to the current market recorrection for illustration rares. That's a positive sign to see. You're seeing this card wasn't really manipulated or inflated at any point. It's really just been growing more gradually, more naturally, and that's always a positive sign for cards, right? For number 11, we have Pachirisu. This is from base set, and I think this is such a cute artwork, honestly. For people who like Pikachu, I can't see how you couldn't like this artwork. Bumping into each other here, super cute. The electricity sort of flying all around the card, and then we have Pachirisu's back there as well. Actually, one of the main character in the anime's Pokemon partner at one point, Dawn, who traveled with Ash throughout the Sinnoh region, the Diamond and Pearl era. And she had a Pachirisu, and it was a huge component of that entire series. So naturally, people would actually have some familiarity with this Pokemon and sort of have somewhat of an attachment to it. So there is that playing into it, and I really think that the blue is such a wonderful contrast and also pop of color in this relatively monotone kind of artwork. And then this one, not too much of a drop. Over the past year, it was pretty consistently at $4. Went up to 16 due to the inflated prices, and it sort of came back down. Now it's going for $9.84. And then recent sales sort of show it's sort of chilling around that price range right now. Another one that really never had a huge dump, right, is 1222. And it's come down to 1027. This is a super sweet card. It actually looks like it connects to the Raikou card from Crown Zenith. Now, this isn't necessarily like a confirmed fact, but I'd say it looks pretty much like they're kind of going in the same situation. Clearly, Zeraora's running at the speed of light, and Raikou is an electric type as well, so maybe this is how they see the world when they're zooming away at a lightning fast pace. Really sweet artwork, and then this one has been sitting around that sort of market value, going a little bit below for some sales. Super vibrant card, and undoubtedly one of my favorites from Stellar Crown. This one's a card that I actually pulled. I think this was my first card from Paldea Evolved in the Japanese version, so I don't quite remember if it was Clayburst or Snow Hazard, which I opened and pulled this card in. But I immediately loved this one because it reminded me so much of my favorite Disney movie from when I was a kid, and that was Lion King. And naturally, this looks so much like Pride Rock, and then sort of all the lions and lionesses sort of chilling on the savannah. It gives that vibe, and I love the trees. They're such a unique sort of shape. It's so amazing, this artwork. And this one went up to $15.95. It's currently going for $10.41. Next up, Grievard, and I think you all might be kind of surprised to see this card here because this one has dropped tremendously. It was going for $25, and it's completely crashed down to $10 now. And honestly, this is a fun card, and I do like it for this price. I didn't like it for $25, but I certainly would endorse it at this price. Because long term, people love the Gengar Alliance, right? We have Gengar, we have Ghastly, Shuppet, we have a Drifloon, right? So there are a lot of, I guess you could quote it as hidden Pokemon. I can't even tell, but this might be a Bayonet plush over here. So there's a lot of Pokemon technically in this card, and then the purple hues and everything just work really well. For this price, I'd definitely say it's pretty solid pickup. Now we're on to some of the starter Pokemon, and there's going to be another one as well, but this is one of the Scarlet and Violet sort of starter Pokemon for Coco's evolution, and I am mentioning this card particularly. Any Pokemon that's sort of partner to a character, I like to mention those ones, right? So Roy, the main male character in the Pokemon Horizon anime, and who's definitely making huge changes in the new series, right? The new Mega Evolution block we're going to be seeing in Pokemon. We're really seeing Roy as a driving factor to it, right? He has a new shiny Mega Lucario now. He has Freed's Pikachu, and Crockler is again his main partner. And so there's a lot apparently happening with his storyline alongside Liko. So it seems that Roy is sort of taking on a more of a leadership role and so forth, so it could be that anime's trying to turn him more into like an Ash-like character. Not to say that he's going to be the exact same, but naturally, for a Pokemon that's partner, it will undoubtedly evolve into Skeledirge at some point, right? It's going to be a pretty nice line to sort of pick up in Paldea Evolve when you have all three, and this is a very vibrant, beautiful card. I have this in Chinese because I actually pulled it in a gem pack, which is pretty fun. Next up, we have Caterpie from 151. I had to mention this one because any 151 card really strikes well for me, but I wanted to mention this one particularly because it was the first Pokemon Ash caught, the first bug-type Pokemon, pretty much the easiest one to catch and evolve into Butterfree, right? That's the whole spiel and gist for bug-type Pokemon, right? They're the easiest to catch and evolve to final evolutions, helps with early gyms and so forth. So you have over here like 3 or 4 Caterpie, like one here, one here, and then another one that's sort of peering through this hole. Pretty nice. And going from 13 down to 12, so not a huge drop. We're getting a lot of Pokemon here who are partners to main characters in the show, but see, that wasn't my intent. It's just sort of turned out that way. Really cool card. I do like the rainbow at the bottom right. A very different landscape than we usually see, sort of a front view of the waterfall, and it's sort of like leaking over the edges over here. Really beautiful setting and stunning artwork. I love the 3 sort of Axew playing around, and then the matured, evolved Fractures just meditating away on this picturesque landscape. This card too has not dropped too much. It's gone from 1353 down to 1184. For number 4, we have Florigato. So this is what I meant by another sort of starter evolution. This is Brigatito's evolution and one of the main characters in the anime Horizon. Now, of course, Liko's Florigato has evolved into Meowscarada. So The starter line has finally been completed on that front, and again, having this sort of line definitely connects well to that show, and it's a really stunning artwork even if you don't necessarily find a connection to the anime or the new series, right? It's just beautiful. The floral patterns, the way that Brigatito sort of starts to move through this garden in different phases. It's really nice to see this sort of greenery in this card. Beautiful artwork. Again, all of these are just absolute bangers, going from 1451 down to 1190 now. So again, not a huge drop. Final 151 card is the Nidoking, and this is one that's completely underrated. It's gone from 1573 down to 1258. I think the one issue with this card is it's not vibrant enough. It's a little desaturated, which is a little bit of an issue, but particularly as the artwork, it looks so fantastic. Honestly, the Psyduck and the Poliwhirl from 151 were not moving for a long time, and now they're pretty expensive. So this Nidoking, I feel, is going to be on par with those two cards. I mean, they're not as vibrant, it's not as colorful, but I think it has its own lens through which you can appreciate it for sure. For number 2, we have Infernape. Personally, this is actually not one of my favorite artworks, but I had to include it because it is Infernape, right? One of the most popular Pokemon because of it being Ash's #1 partner in the entire Diamond and Pearl era. The entirety of the Diamond and Pearl era is sort of shaped by a rivalry between Ash and Paul, and Infernape, or rather from the beginning, Chimchar is the sort of in-between for these two, the point which sort of builds contention and also builds a relationship, helps them become better rivals, and in turn a better series and a fantastic final battle. And so naturally people love this Pokemon. And it is a pretty cool one, right? You have a lot happening in a very, very small scene. We're just seeing Infernape pretty much from toe to head, and it's fire. It's like crown of fire swirling around, and again, the color's pretty vibrant, right? We have primary colors here. And this card has dropped from 1850 down to 1290, so it is becoming more affordable. Chances are, yeah, it could drop a little bit more. We are seeing this sale, for instance, going below market value, a few more right here, so chances are this could drop a bit more, and if you can get under 10, that's absolute steal. Final card is Skarmory, and I do love this art style. It almost looks photorealistic when you take a look at Skarmory and all the vans, but then you have this painting style in the background, and then again we have this card dropping quite a lot from $19 down to $13. A lot of these illustration works have dropped tremendously, and there is a correction happening, no doubt. But that does not mean that cards cannot return back up, actually exceeding their previous highs. We've seen that before with trainer galleries particularly. And if you want to see what's happening with those cards and sort of understand what can happen in the long term with certain batches of Pokemon cards, check out this video I made on Blackboard or trainer galleries. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.